Okay, this is going to be a tutorial of the market narrative architecture, since this is the first application that we're going to focus on, because it's the first in the strategic approach to use the builder tools. I'm going to do a little bit of an overview for the application in general, as far as how to navigate an application, how to save content to your application memory, and effectively how to get towards the builder tools. So all of the apps in here are going to be able to be accessible within an account, and they'll all work together to listen to each other when you're building your business strategy or using the builder tools. Now, in order of operations, in proving a concept, you always want to start with the market narrative. And you want to think about using these applications as you read a book, top to bottom, left to right. So starting with the market narrative, then going into the major market analysis, then the feature and position evaluation. Now this is easy. This can be easily understood, where you can actually use the search bar to find an app, or you can look at just the foundational architecture applications themselves. That'll be these 5. These are the 5 that you want to have completed really before you start using the builder tools. And this will build all of your strategic content for you. The builder tools, as far as the web page builder, the presentation builder, and the visual language builders, those are all going to be systems that listen to your foundational architectures so that you can build things really quickly based on a really robust strategy. So let's go into the market narrative. Now, the way each application is going to be laid out is you're going to have a description of what's going to happen within the application, and then below are going to be a series of form fields or inputs that you'll want to fill out to run the application. Now, this one uniquely has the most form fields, and this is because we're effectively starting from scratch. Some of these applications, such as the market analysis, the next application, this is only going to have 2 form fields. One as far as what market we want to actually research, and the second one will be the market narrative, which is created in the previous application. And you'll see little buttons here, we'll talk about that later, but that's going to be the memory to where you don't have to rewrite any of this content. It can all be saved in the application. So as we dive into the market narrative, I'm going to use an example of a product that I launched recently out of a business called Prairie Fava. So it'll be a snack brand. It's a CPG product. So for the market of focus, the product that I have is going to be a plant-based application. It's a plant-based snack. But the market I'm working to look at or participate in is going to be the healthy snacks. So let's just say I want to have the market be healthy, savory snacks. The reason I didn't call out plant-based right away is because plant-based is going to be a feature of that snack. And as I continue to go through this is really just, think of this as almost an interview that I would have a conversation with you about, as I'm really just trying to understand your business and the direction you want to take it. When we go into the customer, let's just say someone Okay, so the way that I laid out this customer is someone looking for an alternative to unhealthy daily snacks. A customer can be a demographic, it can be an age group. In this case, mine's going to be really broad because the snacks that we recently launched, they're called Luvs. This is for anybody from young toddlers to senior citizens. The way that I'm going to describe this product is this is a plant-based snack made with fava bean flour. and it has 30 grams of plant protein in every bag. So as you can kind of see as I'm filling this out, I'm not really trying to be a copywriter in these forms. The application is going to be doing the heavy lifting for me for that. This is really just for me to get the ideas that are in my head about a business concept on paper. So it can be in bullet points, sentence form, really however you want to be able to get it down. Does not have to be copywritten. Since I do have a name, I'm going to call it Luvs. And then this is where I want you to think about the business a little bit more as far as what makes it unique. And you can put this in the format of a paragraph if you already have this, or if this is a brand new concept. Again, it can be really rough. So let me write a few things about the business that makes it unique. The snacks are made exclusively with fava flour from Canada. It's a family-owned business. They are manufactured in North America. The flavors are amazing with no plant aftertaste. We can also say that they are high in protein content, and they're made with the whole ingredient of fava beans as a source of nutrition. Okay. Now we'll talk about the team a little bit, and this is where we want to create a little bit of credibility as far as why we deserve to win in the market. What unique assets does the team have, or experience does the team have to actually introduce something new and win in the market? So let's say Haley Jeffries, who's going to be the founder, has been a pioneer in cultivating and manufacturing fava bean ingredients. I could put a few other things about the team as far as a new mother, she wanted to create food products that she could serve to her family without feeling guilty that they were unhealthy. As an example. So we'll just kind of create a few bullet points. You can put as many facts about the team as you want. It can be 10 facts, it can be 2 facts. You don't have to call anybody out by name. You can really treat these fields as being really fluid. So what are we trying to solve for this market? This is when we start going into the big picture of what we're doing. How do we hope to influence the market? So let's say we want to create products that people can love because They taste amazing and have great nutrition benefits. Why hasn't this been solved yet? The reason I'm asking a question like this, as far as why hasn't it been solved yet and what are you up against, we're really trying to understand what the irony of the market is. We need something to overcome. And that's how the narrative is going to start to be structured. So when we think about this field and what we're doing here, let's just say you don't have to call companies out by name. You can if you want, but the way that you actually introduce content into this field is really going to start to summarize what type of a brand archetype you're going to be and how you want your customers to root for you to win. So let's just say this has not been solved yet because plant-based ingredients are still relatively expensive to introduce into the market. It's hard to compete on cost. Plant-based products are still new to the market, and the ingredients are expensive. Another reason is large brands hide behind colorful labels instead of promoting clean ingredient in their products. And you're starting to notice that I'm writing things that start to identify emotional triggers, meaning like I'm trying to introduce products that taste great and are healthy for the body, because it's going to have protein in it and it's going to be made with whole ingredients. The thing I'm trying to overcome, or the market share I'm trying to take, is going to be from the companies that are, using taste as their lead and really hiding the fact that there's no nutrition, or even the nutrition elements could be detrimental to people. And again, you can put more into these entry bodies. You can write a paragraph if you want. You can include 7 or 8 different bullet points. It'll all start to get summarized, and we'll use that content in the future. The thing that we're up against, it's hard for new brands to launch in a national market because of the costs of product development and retail. Okay. So the last question that we'll ask before we press the button is, how are we changing the future? And when you fill this out, I want you to think as big as possible. This means if this brand wins and we launch more and more products and the market changes because we've created influence, like what does that future look like? We want all CPG products to have a basis of nutrition and origins of regenerative agriculture. Okay, so that would be the future I would like to see, where all the products that we see in our grocery stores or that we order online have a basis of health and nutrition, and they come from origins of regenerative agriculture, so that we're healing the planet as we develop food products. And since I just thought of that, I'm going to go back up to what makes our business unique and say, we manage a process of regenerative agriculture practices when we harvest the beans that we use, making us vertically integrated from farm to fork. There you go. All right, so now that I've filled out these forms, I'm going to hit submit, and then the application is now going to consume this info, and what you're going to see is it's going to write different sections of a narrative and start to combine it in a complete narrative where the irony is called out at the beginning. It's going to have a body of credibility, establishing why we think we're going to win, and it's going to leave us with a turn to hope. And that turn to hope is really critical. That's where the narrative's going to finish. And that's how you can understand if someone wants to learn more about the business or dive in deeper or ask to work for the business or try to buy the product. We want to create curiosity with this narrative. And when you think about testing this and putting this down on a piece of paper, if that narrative isn't generating that curiosity, well, then you're going to have to go back and rewrite it until it does. Very effective way to test a business. So this is what the narrative looks like, and it'll come with a body, and sometimes these prompts will come with instructions, like you'll see right here about what the narrative is. And then when they're long elements of body copy, you can also have the system read it to you so that you don't have to necessarily just kind of sit in silence, and you can hear what the narrative sounds like when it's spoken or relayed to you. Now what happens next is you have to pick a closer, and you're going to be presented some options of this closer. So I'm going to pick one of these. There we go. A bite towards a better future. That sounds good. So as I pick this, that's going to help drive how this narrative finishes, and it's going to start to put me in one of the boxes of a brand archetype. And there's going to be some educational content that comes with this brand archetype. You can be an everyman or woman, you can be a hero, you can be a rebel, you can be a ruler. Each one of those archetypes have context of strengths and weaknesses and battles that they are overcoming. I've put a little bit more content into a book called The Outsider Advantage, and customers of the platform can always request a copy of that book if you want to learn more about the different archetypes, because you will get to choose here in a second. So prior to getting to the market archetype, you're going to see a few things. You're going to see options of copywriting, ways that you can convert that narrative into a headline. Those will be your brand idea options. You're also going to see a recommendation of the halo markets, meaning like what market are we actually competing against? And that'll be pertinent to how you want to use the next application, which is the major market trends. So it's going to give me some different variables like plant-based snacks or high protein snacks. I'll probably go with high protein snacks because I want to use plant-based as a feature. Organic snack foods is another market. These snacks are not uniquely organic, so that's not going to be a market that we'll study. As we start moving down, you're going to see the promises that the narrative offers. And these will be important when we start thinking about the product market fit pyramid. So my narrative offers health and nutrition, affordability, quality ingredients, taste, sustainability, family owned and locally made. That's what customers are going to hear when they read my narrative. It's kind of a breakdown, and it's how we want to start testing that story. And as I stated earlier, this is the brand archetype description. So this business is going to be recommended as a creator based on the narrative it created and how I wanted to close the sentence, that last turn, which is a bite towards a better future. Every brand archetype is going to have a different description and a different drive, but the way you want to use a brand archetype is for brand consistency. So when I'm thinking about content I'm going to create in the future, The system's going to know to create the content as a creator brand. It's going to make sure that it doesn't fall into a different category like an outlaw. Because creating inconsistencies in language and communication styles creates distrust when you're talking about building towards a large market, when you cannot always be in the room. So this is all content that's important for you to understand when you're thinking about consistency and creating a market position. Now, as I said earlier, you will be able to select from any of the other archetypes. I tend to agree that this is going to be a creator brand because I'm really creating foundational elements. And there's a lot of quality and craftsmanship that goes into these snacks because we're vertically integrated. So we're going to hit submit here and continue to go through. And what it's doing is it's starting to now give me digestible elements. The narrative is a digestible element. The next couple things that are digestible is a purpose statement. And this can be interchangeable with a mission statement. I make this something that you can write if you don't like any of the statements that are offered. Let's just say snacks that take care of you because it has a foundational nutrition element. That sounds good. But in that field, as far as the purpose statement field, you can write whatever you want. If your business already has a mission statement, feel free to put that in there. This is all to create a foundation that we want to go and test. Other digestible elements will be business values. The way I treat business values is really what are the tenets of how I invest and how I spend my budget. So these are going to be just examples. Again, I would like to have 5 to 10 in every business so that I have something to test. And I would like to always have a description. Now the application is going to start writing descriptions based on the narrative that we created. So I don't have to do that anymore. Now I can just kind of take some from these recommendations or I can add my own. So let's say like one of the values is North American made. And you'll want to separate these with commas. Flavor, let's just say flavorful instead of flavorful choices as a business value. Affordable nutrition. We can also say, let's see here, family owned. That'll be a business value of ours. It's kind of how we make decisions on how we expand. And transparent ingredients, because we believe in clean ingredient decks. Now what you'll see is it's going to rewrite these, but if I were to add a new one, it'll give me a new description of that title of a business value based on that narrative. It's all functional. Here's an important element. When you see any prompts get returned like this is not the intent in which I wanted to return it. This is essentially what a table looks like in an HTML format. This content is still relevant. So as that's stored and saved, I can keep on going through this prompt because these are all elements of storage. So what I wanted it to do was come out like a table like this, and we're going to continue to make improvements on the application. So when this happens, this doesn't mean you have to stop the generation. The content is all still very valid, and the system will be able to host that in its memory. Now, beyond business values, we're going to go into brand characteristic examples. So I'm just going to take some of these as well, and I'll add a new one just to show you an example of how. So let's just say healthy, non-GMO ingredients, wholesome would be another value characteristic that we can talk about. We can say we are family focused, and we are aspirational. There we go. So because aspirational was a new concept for this, it's going to write that for me as well. There you go. Yum Luvs shows that we can eat well without breaking the bank, aiming for a healthier lifestyle. Now that we've gone through that application, now it's time to go into the major market trends analysis. And there's a few things I want you to do since we went through this. It'll show your market narrative, and you'll start to see little buttons where you can download this or you can copy it. Now that this foundational element is created, I want to actually copy this, and I'm going to build this into the memory of the application. So as I go back to the top, and I've copied that to my clipboard, I'll see a few things. I'll see that I now have a history of this, and I can change this too. I can name this. I can say that this is Yum Luvs version 1. So I can always get back to this content if I want to run it again. And then additionally, because I want to save this into my memory for the application, I'm going to go into my profile, and in my profile, you're going to see this memories element. And the way that this is going to be laid out is you're going to have everything from company name, market narrative, as we were just talking about. These are all elements that are going to be strategic content areas, and this will eventually become a great deal of fundamental foundational content that you're going to use as a business strategy. I don't ever want to have to type this again. I want it to be very quickly accessible. So I'm going to build a memory, and you'll see in my vault I don't have anything yet because we just got started. So let's say I'm going to call this Yum Luvs. My company name will also be Yum Luvs. And I'm going to paste my market narrative here. And this is also where I can edit stuff. If I wanted to tweak anything, I can tweak it in here. That's no problem at all. This is where it fundamentally gets saved. And I'm going to go to the bottom and hit create memory. Now you'll see that Yum Luvs is a memory, and I can always go back and get that information. I can always edit it. And when I want to start saving the next things, like who my top 20 competitors are, or my opposing forces, the different customer types that we'll address, I can always go back and click on this to create that memory. Okay, so that is the build of the market narrative. It's now stored, and I'll be able to use this stuff quickly. So as I showed you before, there's just a couple fields here. So if I said I was in high protein snack market, now when I want to use that market narrative, that's what this memory button is for. You'll see these to be used on fields, so when I click that, I can select that from my Yum Luvs memory, and it's going to put it in right away. The system will know what to get and where to go and get it, and then I can submit. That'll be in the next tutorial. I hope you guys have a good time putting together this narrative. I hope you create some amazing ideas and create some things to test.